Assalamu alaikum family, assalamu alaikum. I hope you guys are doing great and I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are reacting to a Jewish scholar, a Jewish brother who is seen saying that the Bible does prove that Moses had a pilgrimage to Mecca. That Moses, when he was fleeing after murdering the soldier, he knew exactly where he was going. He was not just stumbling across the wilderness. So that's what we are about to watch right now. That's what we're about to react to. Before we get started though, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and hit the bell notification. Also, as the video is going on, whatever he's going to say, whatever he's going to talk about, leave a comment down below and tell me how you feel and what you think about all the comments that he is making. Without further ado, let's go and let's get it. Enlightened TruthTv.
Avi Lipkin is here from Israel, and he's brought his brand new book. It's called Return to Mecca. And the title of this book, Return to Mecca, what could that possibly mean? And on the cover is a picture of a black cube. That's where the story starts. Avi, let's start right there.
Yes. I believe that the Bible is a GPS. I believe that the Bible took place, a lot of it took place in Arabia. Actually, in most churches, Christians say to me, we know that Mount Sinai, the real Mount Sinai, is not in the Sinai Peninsula, but rather in northwest Saudi Arabia. It's called Jebel al-Lawz. I am the first Jew in the Jewish world who's coming to the rabbis and saying, the Torah is a GPS. Jethro, the high priest of Midian, I believe was the high priest of the Kaaba, the black stone, which is today in Mecca. There was no Mecca, it was just a black stone in those days.
Our father's Jethro. He's Sheik of Midian.
Moses was the son-in-law of Jethro. Moses was the understudy of Jethro for 40 years. And when Moses went to take the children of Israel out of slavery, he gave them the phylacteries, which they are to put on their forehead and on their left arm, as a sign from God that we are leaving the pyramid system of slavery in Egypt and we're going to the cube system of freedom in Arabia. And it must be remembered that there was no Judaism in those days, there was no Christianity, there was no Islam. All people, including the Israelite slaves, were pagans. And of course the golden calf, basically the children of Israel reverted to the gods that they had known in Egypt. Yes. When Moses delayed coming back. So the purpose of this book is to show where exactly we were, and that 38 years at least of the Exodus was in Arabia. Moses, Aaron, Jethro were at the Kaaba, which is today Mecca. And when God says in Deuteronomy 11 that the borders of Israel will include the desert to the south, that desert is Arabia. Jethro was a cousin, because Jethro's descended from Midian. Midian was one of the brothers of Isaac. So you have Ishmael, son of Hagar, and then you have the children of Keturah. So Midian is one of the children of Keturah. And from Midian you go down to the next generation, which is Reuel or Raguel. And one of the names of Jethro in the Bible is Reuel. So he was probably, in the Middle East, many times people are named after grandfathers and great-grandfathers.
You have come far. From Egypt. Across the desert, on foot. He who has no name surely guided your steps.
No name? You Bedouins know the God of Abraham?
Abraham is the father of many nations. We are the children of Ishmael, his firstborn. We are the obedient of God.
I will dwell in this land.
So Moses, when he had to flee Egypt after he killed the taskmaster who was beating the Jewish slave, the Israelite slave, he knew where he was going. He knew the geography. He was almost Pharaoh, so he had to know the geography. So he took the Israelites through the desert to what is today Nuweiba, on the eastern shore of the Red Sea of Sinai. That is where they crossed. And by the way, there's no archaeological proof at all of an exodus in the Sinai Peninsula. But there is tons of archaeological proof in the Arabian Peninsula. In the New Testament, chapter 4, verse 25 of Galatians, it says, that Mount Sinai and Hagar, which are in Arabia. Josephus speaks very clearly that Sinai, the Ishmaelites are there, the troglodytes are there, the children of Keturah are there, the children of Esau are there. Everybody is there, and they're all one family.
And talk about the linkage between the Jews who wear phylacteries and this pilgrimage to Mecca.
By the way, if Christians have ever come to Israel, so I'm talking now to the people who've been to Israel, they've seen it on the flight.
Yes.
Because when people are still snoozing and the sun comes up as the plane is approaching Israel, you see the Orthodox Jewish men go to the back of the plane and they pray, and they put on the phylacteries. And this is a tradition that goes back 3,500 years. By the way, very important, and I learned this in the Jewish Theological Seminary, we studied the New Testament. Matthew 23, verse 5. Jesus is criticizing the Pharisees, and he says, for all their works they do to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and they enlarge the hems of their garments, or the tzitzit on their prayer shawls. And it's interesting indeed that today there are three types of phylactery. You have the size A, the size B, and the size C. And so what Jesus was saying was, he wasn't saying don't put on the phylacteries, which I'm sure Jesus did. What he was saying was that if you have the $200 phylactery, and you have the $400 phylactery, and you have the $600 phylactery, which is humongous, don't spend your money on $600 phylactery, spend it on the $200, and give the $400 to charity to feed the poor. So, but it's something, it's in Matthew 23, verse 5. So we know that Jewish men in those days wore this. We know that in the Greek Orthodox Christian tradition, there are priests who put on phylacteries. It's a slightly different Greek phylactery, but it all commemorates exactly the same thing. So the phylacteries have a very important meaning for Christians as well.
So my question, and I'll ask it for everybody who's watching, why in the world would you put on, strap a little wooden box with scriptures from Deuteronomy on the inside and attach that to your left arm and to your forehead? Why would you do that, and why would it be cube shaped?
Perfectly cube shaped. And so the contention in my book is that when Moses came to Pharaoh, and remember, Pharaoh was God. Pharaoh was God in Egypt to the Egyptian people. He created the Nile, and he created this, and he created that. And who's Moses? Moses is a guy who stutters. It's very hard to talk. And God says, give the people a sign. And the phylacteries were the sign. He gave Pharaoh the signs. You remember his rod became a crocodile or serpent, ate the other crocodiles. Right. And the leprosy in the chest. These are all signs. And then later the 10 plagues. And Moses gave signs to the elders of Israel. And Moses gave signs to the people. You're talking about primitive pagan people who were shepherds. And they're saying to Moses, well, why should we listen to you? And so this phylactery has 4 pouches, 4 parchments. The first 2 are Exodus 13. Then you have Deuteronomy 6 and Deuteronomy 11. Exodus 13, we are still in Egypt. We are still in slavery. We're about to flee. But Exodus 13 talks about a sign on thy arm and frontlets between thine eyes. And, I know young people won't know the word that I'm going to say now, but there's a word that older people like you and I remember, which is, gyroscope. A gyroscope takes us directly in the direction we have to go. And Moses is leading the children of Israel out of the pyramid triangular system to the cubic square system of freedom in the desert. And again, Moses says to Pharaoh, let my people go so that they may circle me in the desert. The other 5 times, let my people go so that they may serve the Lord in the desert. But the first one is they should go around in circles. Now, Hajj is a pilgrim to Mecca. Hag is the Egyptian pronunciation. Hag in Hebrew means a holiday or going around in circles.
Well, 1 Kings 18 says, and Moses came to Pharaoh, and he said unto him, What is this? And he said, It is the Lord God of Israel, which hath sent me unto thee. And he said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am the prophet which is sent unto thee. And he said, Who sent thee? And he said, The Lord God of Israel. And he said unto him, Where is thy God? And he said, It is the Lord God of Israel.
And so the first meaning really meant, let my people go so that they may sacrifice to the Lord at the Kaaba in Mecca, which there was no Mecca at the time, which is the black stone. Jethro was the high priest. Moses was the understudy of the high priest. And so he knew why, spiritually, he was taking the children of Israel out of slavery from the pyramid system to the square system to Jethro. Then, of course, as you know, God finally says, no, you're not going to turn right, you're going to turn left. Instead of going to Mecca and Medina, we turn to the Mount Sinai, Mount Horeb, which, as you said very correctly, is within sight of Eilat and Aqaba and the Red Sea. And by the way, my people, forgive me for being arrogant, are the Jews and the Christians together. Now, my contention through my book is, if we Judeo-Christians get Mecca and Medina, then we capture the flag, and it is the termination of Allah, who I say is Satan, and sending the devil to the pits of hell for 1,000 years.
The same God who lives on the mountain?
It may be, my son.
Moses, Aaron, Jethro were at the Kaaba, which is today Mecca.
Alright guys, that was a very informative video we just watched right here. It had a lot of information as far as Moses is concerned, as far as the Old Testament is concerned, as far as the Torah is concerned, and a tiny bit of some Islamic knowledge as well was ingrained in this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. But some of the things he spoke about, I read from this book. This is a book that I recently have bought and been reading it, and some of the information that he spoke about, particularly concerning Christianity and Judaism, it is contained in this book. Some of the things he spoke about, I read them in this book. It's a very powerful book. It's by Perry Stone, and the name of the book is Purging Your House, Pruning Your Family Tree. It's a powerful book that speaks about Judaism as well as Christianity. This book had some of the things he spoke about. So if you are a reader, you like reading books, I think you should get your hands on this book. You can get it online as well with a soft copy. So I really recommend you to get this book. That was a powerful video reaction though. Drop it in the comments as far as how you feel about today's video. Like the video before we leave, and we meet again on the next reaction video. Much love. Peace.